Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. We are here again with the story. Hopefully you've been following along with us and a little rewind to get caught up with you guys and share with you. What week are we on?
Week 3. Well, we just stopped saying that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We're in chapter 3 and week, I don't know,
Let's
9.
ignore the week.
Yeah,
we're chapter 3.
Chapter 3 of the story, and the title is Joseph, from Slave to Deputy Pharaoh.
It's a long way up.
Long way up the ladder. Ooh, excuse us, by the way, we both have a cold right now, so...
Not good.
Yeah.
But that's not going to hold us back. So, we'll just recap a little bit of last week, I think. Because basically we ended off last week talking about Joseph, just barely introducing Joseph, who has his 11 brothers and sisters, and they didn't like him because he was the favorite and, just kind of not so well handled. And in fact, they sold him into slavery. So basically, Joseph was just... Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
to his
sibling
brothers.
rivalry at its best.
Yeah, and he was in some trouble. So he was introduced into slavery, and that's where we pick up today.
Yep. So we start off with Joseph finding himself in Pharaoh's land as a slave, and he was working in Potiphar's house. And he was they kind of like, hey, this guy, he's a good kid. He does well. He's good at cleaning up and making the house look good or whatever. So,
he's a good slave.
Yeah, so Potiphar put him in charge of the house. And being in charge of the house, the Potiphar, I guess, the wife or whatever of the household was kind of like, you're cute. I like you. I want you to lay in bed with me. And
whoa.
He was like, yeah, whoa. You're married. You are, my master's wife. I'm not about that life, so I'm not going to do that with you.
Yeah.
And she was like, really? Yeah, you are. Come into my bedroom. And he was just like, no, I can't do this. And she was, she took off her clothes and disrobed herself and presented herself quite sexually to him. And he was just like, nope, I can't do this. I'm leaving now.
And so what did she do?
She grabbed his robe as he was leaving the room and tore it and kept a piece of it. And then she screamed, rape!
Threw him right under the bus.
Yeah.
So basically he was, being the gentleman, just saying no.
Yeah.
But she didn't like that.
Because she's like, I'm beautiful. How dare you turn me down? Like, do you know who I am?
Yeah. And so Pharaoh gets word of this, and, kind of Joseph was making his way up. He was, kind of running the household. He was entrusted with everything.
Yeah.
And then, boom, this happens, and right back down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So
he gets tossed in jail because, and unfortunately, the husband, he was like, I believe that, you didn't sleep with my wife, but unfortunately, I kind of have to, appease her, because if I don't, my household's going to be a mess.
A happy wife, a happy life.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he had to do something about Joseph.
Yeah. So Joseph goes to jail, and, he's kind of bummed out again, but his attitude is never actually bummed out. He's, kind of always staying positive, because as we've been kind of talking all the way through the stories, there's the upper story and the lower story, and so Joseph very knowingly knows there's always a better path out there for him. So this is just a temporary setback. It's no big deal.
Yep.
So as he's sitting in jail, he's just kind of recounting his days, I guess. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a wise kid, and he's using his wisdom, really, to connect with the people that are in jail with him. He's talking to them, he's helping them decipher dreams, and still keeping his faith up. Exactly. And he's making friends.
Yeah, and so word of this, the main thing is word of his, basically, ability to decipher dreams and to kind of decode what people are dreaming and thinking is kind of spreads around, and Pharaoh has a dream that he can't fathom and can't help, and so Pharaoh calls all the wise men in all the land and gets everybody, and they're just like, I don't know, man.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They're fat cows. I don't know.
So, bottom of the barrel, last resort, he calls on Joseph.
Yep.
And he says, Joseph, help me out.
Yeah, he's like, I heard you're good at this stuff, and I'm going to give you a chance. So, tell me what this means.
So, you know what Joseph does? He walks in and he says, no. He just walks out, just leaves, says, no, I'm not helping. And basically, he stands by his belief in that, he's not there to decode his dream, Pharaoh's dream. Only God can do that, right? And if you're to know, then God will let you know. He offers his advice, but he kind of does it with some attitude, and he basically does it, but giving full credit to God. And so basically Joseph, in the end, Joseph's recommendation to Pharaoh of this dream was to put a wise man in charge of storing food and preparing for a coming famine. And so Pharaoh's just like, oh geez, like that sounds pretty bad, I better get on it. So he appoints a young man named
Joseph.
What do you know? So he brings him back out of jail. And
he's like, you're the wisest one. All my other so-called wise men couldn't do this, and you could, so
yeah,
I'm going to go with you.
So yeah, so now Joseph once again is back kind of in the reins and the higher lots of life, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's in charge of kind of just preparing, just being wise about food rations and things like that.
Yeah.
And sure enough, years later, I think it was 7 years later or something, right? Or
His
was it
brothers
7 year?
come, yeah.
Yeah. It was a 7-year famine?
There was a 7-year
drought.
No.
No?
They had an abundance of food for 7 years, which was going to be followed by 7-year
famine. Right,
yeah.
right.
So during the famine, his brothers were like, hey, they're back home with Dad. And they're like,
same brothers that sold him to slavery.
And they're like, we heard that, Pharaoh's land has some food. Maybe we can go over there and, beg them and offer to sell ourselves into slavery or whatever, but get some food.
We need to eat.
Yeah, we need food for our people. So let's, go over there and go beg them. So they go, and then Joseph, obviously, he knows his brothers. They also don't recognize him because the last time they saw him, he was battered up and, being sold to slavery, and now he's the big dude up top. But Joseph recognizes his brothers, and he's just like, I know who they are, but he doesn't reveal himself to them. He's not like, hey guys, it's me, how you doing, long time? Like, he doesn't do that.
No.
So what does he do?
Oh no! No, he keeps his composure, but he's still, he's kind of like, he's planning, I don't want to say plotting, because he's not plotting bad things, but he is planning, basically, to take care of them, but kind of teach them a lesson all at the same time. Yeah, and also, he wants to see his father again, because he hasn't seen his father in, so many years, because he's been a slave and been in jail all these years.
So he starts off and it's just like, hey, you're going to leave your youngest brother with me, which was Benjamin. And they were just like, whoa, we can't do that, because if our father loses Benjamin, he'll die. He's
our father's new favorite.
Yeah, like, he's lost our other brother, Joseph. If he loses Benjamin, he will actually die.
Yeah.
So, no, we can't do that. So anyways, they work out a deal, and whatever, things work out. I'm like, all right, cool, we'll do what you want.
Yep, and so basically it doesn't, but Joseph says you have to, basically I'm not going to take care of you unless you bring your father to me. Because he, I don't know, kind of treats it as like, I need proof.
Yeah.
Almost kind of thing. So they return home and they say to their father, Jacob, they're like, hey, Dad, we need you. We need you to come in order to get the food. And he says, nope. Not going to happen. I don't like this. Something seems fishy with it. So Jacob's kind of wise to the whole thing because he's just a wise man. And so eventually Joseph then takes Benjamin and they return home together. And Joseph reveals himself to his father Jacob and to all his brothers.
And they're like, oh, my bad. Yeah. We shouldn't have sold you. But no, they didn't say that. But yeah, I'm sure there was some kind of like, yikes.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm sure jaws were dropping.
Yeah.
And but Jacob then, with the kind of his last breath, because he was an old man, so he sees Joseph and he gives him his blessing.
And Joseph ends up giving the land, I guess, which we now know is the land of the Israelites, to his father and his siblings. It was land in Egypt. And so it's kind of like, it starts out, this is how the whole slavery that comes on later starts out, because they now have this land to themselves, and he gives them everything.
Yeah.
Like, they have the land, the best land in the land. They have food, they have everything they could possibly need. And he sets his family off in that great way, so that even when he's, no longer working with the Pharaoh and, he's retired, he can go to the land and join his brothers and live well. Yeah. And that's kind of how that worked out.
Yeah.
Pretty much did. And he also, he died in that land, so did his father and his siblings and all of that. They had their land, and that's where they lived their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that pretty much kind of sums up his story.
Yeah, I think that is, that wraps up chapter 3.
Yeah.
Chapter 4 is exciting,
Yeah.
deliverance.
Yeah.
But just before we jump to there, what are some of the lessons here? One of the big ones that comes out of this chapter specifically is that talk of the upper story and the lower story, and
Correct.
to never lose faith. It kind of shows Joseph through, I want to say it doesn't matter the hard times that we feel, it's like, it's nothing compared to what Joseph went through. And the whole time he has his faith, he has his belief, he knows that this is just a bump in the road.
Yeah.
My God will provide
exactly.
for me.
And it's that sense of the story we have, like, God is working in the lower story of Joseph's life to accomplish the upper story, because, like, at this point in time, we don't know what's going to happen for the next 100 years in the slavery and all that.
Nor does Joseph, I'm sure.
Yeah, no one does, but these things are working together to fulfill the upper story that, that Joseph didn't know about and his brothers didn't know. It's just like something as simple as his brothers selling him into slavery. That's part of the lower story, but the upper story in there is you're still going to come out
on top.
On top.
Yeah.
And that's just something good to know, yeah.
It's remarkable, and definitely we encourage you to, take a step back. Everybody definitely goes through some hard times.
Yeah.
And you always have to just take a step back and know that your beliefs, your faith is there to get you through those things, because in the end, it will be delivered for you.
Yep. Yeah. And I think I'm going to give them just 3 main points.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so 3 main points we had is, the first one is embracing reality. Life is hard, and we do face hard times. We can't avoid it. It is what it is. Sometimes we set ourselves up. Sometimes other people set us up, and we end up in a hard time. But there are hard times, and life is hard. So the first step is just embracing reality. Don't pretend that it's something that it's not. Face the facts of what you're going through, what's about to happen, and prepare for it if you can. And if you can't, find some way. You know what I mean? Like, just if it's your faith you lean on, if there are others you lean on, find something to hold you up during the hard times that are going to come. And secondly is remembering your identity during the hard times and before the hard times, really, because knowing that, hey, God is with me, like, that's just what it is. When it's good, when it's bad, God's with me. He's got my back. And even when it seems like, he's not there, it's like the poem, the Footprints poem, right? It's like when you think God's not there, he's still there. Those are times where he's lifting you up, and you might not necessarily hear, a voice and feel something great, but there's still a force that's working in your favor. And then third is just act accordingly. Act according to the situation with faith. Like, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but do what any person would do who truly believed that God is with them. So if you truly believe, if you truly have faith, like I said last week, I think I've said like 3 times now in this entire series, is there's no sense, there's no sense in worrying if you have faith. So if you truly have faith and believe God's with you, act like you have faith. Don't shrivel up and worry, because that's not faith. Just act like a person with faith, shoulders up and back straight and chin up, and you got this.
What I wanted to just add on is it's interesting today. Part of the message was about how, regardless of whether you believe in God or not, or whatever you believe in, there's countless other religions, and as far as atheists, it was brought up how all of those people have faith. It takes faith to believe in God, for sure, but it also takes faith to believe that there's no God. And it was just kind of that concept of, that's and crazy. So
I think you're also trying to enforce like the worship in common that you made. That everyone worships something.
Something, yeah.
Everyone worships something. Whether you worship money, you worship
intelligence.
Yeah, you worship beauty.
Yep.
Everyone worships something.
Yeah.
So choose what you worship, and I don't know.
Basically, the core concept of that today was how a lot of those other things run out. If you worship money, it can run out.
And you'll chase it forever. You'll never have enough.
Exactly. If you worship beauty, it'll run out. Yeah, and so it's just that kind of concept. And it was wild to just kind of take a step back, relook at my own beliefs, and kind of observe others in their beliefs as well. But these are just some of the things that we learn in our walks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and path through life. So, anything else, darling?
That's all I've got.
Okay, well, we'll come back to you next week. Hopefully, we're both feeling a little better. I know I feel, I feel like I sound really hoarse, so I do apologize for that.
I know I sound terrible.
Yeah, but we'll be back next week and just chipper and ready to go.
Yeah, and what do we have next week?
Deliverance.
Deliverance. In chapter 4?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So,
till then.
see you then. Bye, guys.